Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Read Follow Equestria, Chapter 7, Velvet Remedy. They actually consider us gods, but then who can blame them? Either that's the Alicorns, Celestia Luna, or something else is going to go down. Anyways, let's get reading. Well, listening. Just do the little sound volume and let's go.
Her. She was still as beautiful as the first time I saw her. It had been the birthday party of the Overmare's daughter. Velvet Remedy had come in to sing her a stunning revision of the Happy Birthday song. I had been painfully jealous of the filly for weeks after. Actually, she was even more gorgeous than the last time I saw her. I'd followed her out into this wasteland. To see her now, against this backdrop of rusted metal, old hardwood, bloodstains, and liquor, her song so clear and majestic through the din of lowlifes, made her breathtaking in comparison. My heart fluttered like a butterfly trapped in a jar. Part of me wanted to run to her. Part of me, small but insistent, wanted to be furious with her, to blame her for getting me involved. It didn't matter that the only pony who forced me out of that stable door was me. My eyes flickered back to the guards making their rounds. Even if they weren't looking in my direction, in moments they wouldn't be able to miss me. Following either cry of my heart was out. Instead, I scooted back silently and retreated the way I came. This threw a wrinkle in the plan. Now, getting Velvet Remedy out of captivity was my highest priority.
You got mines, right? I mean, when you disarm those mines, you've been picking them up, right? Activate them, throw them over, kill the raiders down there. Just, you have resources here, provided you've actually been looting stuff, okay? Judging by what we do know a little, Pip, I wouldn't be surprised if he's stupid enough not to take the mines she disarms.
Not to suggest the other ponies in those cages were of any less importance to me, but something personal had been added to the situation. In my head, I entertained the thought of how happy she would be to see me. The moment I stepped outside, I knew that I was in trouble. Multiple slaver ponies, lantern poles strapped to their backs, were standing about the corpse of that flamethrower bastard I put down. The wake of my activities was not going unnoticed or ignored. 4 of the ponies, those most lightly armed, turned and ran towards the huge central barn. I pressed myself against the wall. The alarm was about to go up.
Plan. I got a plan. Okay, again, assuming she's been picking up those mines she disarmed, like you should, as soon as they go in, go to the front, just drop all the mines. Just drop all the mines right in front of the door. Get the fuck out. All those guys are going to come out. They're going to hit their own mines. It'll be beautiful. That's a plan. A
single gunshot rang out through the storm, and the lead pony dropped from 2 bullet wounds. 2 of the 3 runners skidded to a muddy stop and dove for cover, trying to spot their attacker. The 3rd kept running. He nearly made it to the barn, close enough that the barn door was splattered with red when Calamity took him down. Most of the 4 heavily armed slavers spotted Calamity on the last dive and began firing in his direction, but he was fast and the lighting was bad. Not to mention that I had not been impressed by the aim of the slavers yet tonight. I was pleased and utterly unsurprised when the hail of assault rifle ammo thrown in Calamity's general direction missed my companion entirely. But now, these 4 were working in a group, moving towards the barn while covering each other, denying Calamity any safe vector of approach. Moving quickly, I raced down the catwalk and towards the other one of the old half-collapsed wooden buildings surrounding the mega barn, combat shotgun reloaded and ready. It was locked. I spilled several bobby pins and almost fumbled the screwdriver in my haste. The lock was stubborn and tricky, and every failure was making me more jumpy. I desperately wished I had another mint owl, preferably of the party time variety. The bobby pin broke. Behind me, the noises from the central barn changed drastically. The singing stopped, and the drunken hollers were replaced by authoritative shouts. Frantically pulling out another bobby pin, I tried again. I could hear the barn door swing open, ponicidal slavers tearing out into the storm. Cries for blood and rape and death, and it struck me like a blow to my gut that such vitriol was directed towards me. If these slavers caught me, I'd only wish I was a dead pony. The door's lock finally gave. Without a second to lose, I dove inside. Pow pow! Pow pow! 4 rapid shots with the combat shotgun, and the slaver guards inside, gambling at a table covered in bottle caps and cigarette butts, went down before they had time to react to my presence. It only hit me a moment later that I'd opened fire based solely on what they looked like, what they were wearing, and what they were armed with in a place like this. Had I not just done, in essence, what Calamity did when he opened fire on me? Only, I had murdered these two, and even in retrospect had no reason to believe my admittedly fear-fueled instincts had been wrong. One of the dead ponies had a pair of manacles as a cutie mark, and the other had the keys both to the front door and the cage that took up 2/3 of the room. My eyes widened at what I saw before me. This was not like the cages in Ponyville Library. There were no prisoners behind these bars. Instead, there were weapons, and boxes of ammo, some stacked
I
on top of
love
other
raiding
boxes of ammo.
armories. You know when you're playing video games like Fallout and you find the armory and there's just weapons everywhere. It's like being in a candy store. Oh jeez. And then you get so sad cuz like, "Oh no. I can't carry all this." Oh jeez. It's like it's especially heartbreaking when you're playing Stalker and you find an armory still filled and like, "Oh my god." Ooh. Oh, dude. It's part of why I love strongholds, because I always go back to places like this and just raid everything and take it back to my stronghold.
Two thoughts raced through my mind, each right on the heels of the other. First, I had just hit the jackpot. And second, this was probably right where most of the slavers were heading first.
Mine it.
I turned and locked the door, then began to barricade it. Not too heavily, as trapping myself in here was not going to save any pony, least of all myself. But it would give me time to loot, and to consider my next move. A filing cabinet, the table, and the metal desk should do it. Bottle caps and gaming chits slid to the floor in chaos as I upended the table and placed it against the door. I levitated the filing cabinet and held it in place. Then, the desk was wrapped with a glow identical to that of my horn as I swung it around. The desk, I noticed, had a glowing terminal. Time allowing, it might be worth it to see what it had to say. First, however, was improving my armament. 7 ammo boxes, half of them locked. 2 gun cabinets and a weapons locker, also locked, later. I was less like a pony, and more like a walking arsenal. There were dozens of weapons, but all in such crappy condition that I was only able to salvage 3 useful ones out of them, including a needler pistol, the repair assist spell in my pip-buck allowing me to swiftly tear down the worst of the weapons for their better parts. The weapons locker contained 2 battle saddles, both far too heavy for me to bother with. I now had ammo for everything but Little Macintosh,
Aww.
including weapons I had never even seen before, such as spark packs designed for recharging magical energy weapons, and 3 missiles. It disturbed me greatly that the slavers had a small stockpile of missiles, particularly since neither of the battle saddles were built for them. But, by far, the biggest prize in the lot had been neither the weapons or ammo, but rather a set of schematics for creating a homemade gun that would fire poison needles. It would be silent, crippling, and I was pretty sure I'd seen most of the parts required back at absolutely everything. The slavers took little time figuring out I had barricaded myself in their armory. If that had given them pause, however, they didn't show it. Relocking the door had been a useless effort. The first pony to the armory had her own set of keys. The table, cabinet, and desk were proving much more worthwhile, and by the time I had finished repairing the weapons I was taking, they had finally ceased bucking their hooves at the door. I had no doubt that they were waiting outside in quiet ambush, but that gave me yet a little more time. I used it to take a look at the terminal. It took almost no time to hack. The password was terminal. I was unimpressed. The first entry was ancient, dating back several years before the...
Be fair. Would you expect that? I mean, you know, Pip-Buck gives you abilities that other ponies don't possess, like hacking. The Pip-Buck gives you easy hacking. Like, it does most of the work for you. You just gotta find the password. But if you were an actual, person just trying to do that, born in the wasteland with little to no technical expertise, as most of them, ponies born in the wasteland would you really think of that? And it might actually be more. See, Little Pip basically got 21st alternate universe 21st century knowledge. Kinda, it's Equestria. Who the hell knows what century they are in? But in dealing with what's basically fucking tribals, I mean, it's not really fair to judge them.
Apocalypse. The others were all within the last few months. Entry 1. Had a surprise inspection from the Ministry of Morale yesterday.
Oh, God.
Pretty well knew it was coming, and I've been given instructions on what to do, but I couldn't believe how smoothly it went. We slipped them a small percentage of the special product, and they give us clean marks? Even if they were dirty, I couldn't understand why they wouldn't just bring the cage down on us, impounding all of her themselves. Seemed too good to be true. So, I did a little digging, and a friend of mine of a friend who worked over at Ironshot who claims to have an inside peek gave me this apple to chew on. According to him, the head mirror of the MOM herself actually loathes the new contraband laws. And, since the MOM enforces these laws, that means that all sorts of tasty zebra treats are slipping in Equestria right under the princess's nose. I figure this means as long as she stays golden delicious, we're golden delicious. And, even if the princess suspects her, and how dense would she have to be not to, she really is the only pony the MOM can't bring up on sedition charges. Entry 2. Finally wipe the crap from this terminal. 300 plus documents that have absolutely no use for me, and many of which it's probably best for there not to be a record of. All except that one damn file from forever ago with the weird-ass flag on it that prevents tampering. Trust me, I've tried. Don't know why we even bother keeping record of where we send the goods, since they're all going to the same damn place anyhow. I don't know what the hell Stern needs all these slaves for, but unless she's building an army, whatever it is has one hellish rate of attrition. Boss is more worried about the attrition rate in transit. A third of these fuckers don't make the journey, and Stern ain't paying us for no dead corpses. I'm supposed to figure out a way to keep the damn goods alive, at least until the caps exchange hoofs. Maybe a cocktail of drugs will help. I've had a false floor last week leading to a buried boxcar just full of the stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't, like, Western media doesn't really tell you about slaves. You know, slavery's a horrible institution. You know, we all know this. But, I mean, the slave owners wouldn't just. You need them alive, and you need them healthy, and you need them in working condition to work. I mean, you know. So the whole idea of random beatings, just random killing, just random cruelty doesn't really happen. I mean, I'm not trying to defend the institution, but the idea of that they would just randomly beat you or kill you, it did happen. There's always those dumbasses. But for the most part, you want your slaves to be healthy. You want them to be in working condition so they can work. Because otherwise you're losing money. I mean, you still need to feed them and clothe them at the very least. You may not pay them, but you need to do that for them. You need to house them. Or else they'll die and you're just wasting money trying to buy new ones. I mean, there is some level of basicness. So the whole idea of being just randomly cruel, like, you know, just like at the beginning of this where I talk about just off one of them or something. Those slavers from way back in this story were just dumbasses. Because in the end, you want your workforce, even if it's a slave workforce, to be healthy and have some moderate, you know, level of, what am I thinking of? The word. Level of living standards. Because they're the ones doing the hard work. I mean, yeah, you still gotta beat them down and keep them lower, but you know, you at least want them to be content enough that they don't rebel. Because it's a balancing act, really. I mean, you gotta balance it. If you treat them too badly, you're gonna have slave revolts. But if you treat them too good, they'll still get the idea. It's a balancing act. But again, the whole idea of beating and killing and all this stuff, it did happen, but most of that's just it's basically Western propaganda, abolitionist propaganda. I don't like slavery at all. I think it's horrible, but I at least want to give fair representation to everything, even if it's horrible. God. Just... So, I don't know why this brought that up. I guess... well, still... Like, it's still a horrible institution, but you'd think... If you were in the slave trade business, you at least want to keep them alive long enough to sell them. Just so 1/3 of your stock dying. Oh, I feel so dirty saying stock, but it's what it is. 1/3 of your slaves dying. That's a profit loss. You would think, even in Fallout. Well, Fallout's certainly not even close to an accurate representation of anything. Except, you know, bad shit. But, again, you would think that if you're in the slave trading business, you give them a little bit better conditions so many of them don't die. if not for humanitarian reasons, then for economic reasons. Still, I don't know why I went on a tangent. I guess it just built up in me so much that I had to get it out there. Jesus fuck.
Entry 3. I finally convinced the boss we need to start a little side business in the foal market. The young ones are easier to corral, control, and train. Sure, we have to play up the investment angle, since they can't do the work of a normal slave, but there are plenty of ponies out there who see the potential. Unfortunately, Stern ain't one of them. That bitch has no patience. Turns out, a mixture of buck and dash and small doses does mighty well in keeping the more worthless slaves from keeling over before they make it to Philadelphia. Whatever happens to them after Stern gets her hooves on them ain't none of my concern. Still gotta talk to Whipcrack about going a bit easier on him, though. No drug cocktail's gonna prevent a pony from being lashed to death. Might suggest swapping out which
Again, what's the point? Because you need them in working condition. And that's actually addressed in that movie, Uncle Bob's Cabin, I think? It was a long time ago. Like, you know, Uncle Bob did something. He was a black slave who was sold to this dumbass master who then whipped him so badly he could not work. And then they bring it up like, you being so badly, he's not going to work. You've lost your investment on that. You've lost your time. You lost the resources to acquire him. You lost your money for the amount of time until he could get working again. The random, stupid cruelty does not make good business, and despite how barbaric slavery is, it's still a business. So you have to get the economic concerns of the slave thing, like, I'm trying to think of the words to say what I want to say about this. It's just random cruelty that doesn't serve any purpose. I love tearing down, especially in fantasy or sci-fi slavers, because it doesn't make any sense for a business who requires these people to be healthy and working to randomly beat them and whip them to the point they die, or you need to give them drug doses. And the drugs cost money. So you're spending more money to get someone to work. It's not economically feasible or profitable. So I have a big problem with that. If you're going to do the slave trade, this story's out, and I love K-Cat's writing, and I'm only 7 chapters in, and I already love this story. Just, I want it to be a bit more accurate. But, I mean, nobody wants to portray slavery in any positive light. I get that. We all hate it.
slaves are pulling the wagons a bit more often, too. Entry 4. The cells in the old sheriff's station have been perfect for foal holding. The settlers of Appaloosa might have constructed a lot of this place with an eye of speed over lastingness, but they sure knew how to make a holding pen. I'd even say that the cells in there are a close second in the list of stuff I'm glad they left behind when they all kicked the bucket. Next, the apple pie recipe. Turns out, gathering foals has made hitting isolated homesteads a much better risk. The parent folk have a tendency to get annoyingly shooty when we come to claim them, but they also take such great pains to keep their little ones out of the fight that even if we have to kill all the adults, we still make a good profit. Entry 5. What a fucking cock-up. A whole shipment, 2 wagons worth slaughtered. Best we can figure, they ran into a stray hellhound. Damn taint fucks up everything. Now I hear that Stern is sending a special representative to take a look-see at our operation. Sounds more like she's planning to take over. I think she's in for a face-buck surprise, and this special representative best watch her tail. Got a new herd of foals ready for breaking. Raked in the caps with the last batch. Another benefit of dealing with foals, you don't have to kill one of them in front of the others to make the fight go away. Entry 6. The last week has been beyond words. Stern was playing it close to her chest with that special representative business. Never had any idea. Let's just say I was shaking in my shotting when our new boss heard about some of the stuff I'd been saying back when we didn't know her. But I guess it's easy to be understanding when you're connected to the divine. Besides, we still have what's left of the old boss as a reminder that the new boss's hooves ain't soft. The new acquisition is going to do wonders for keeping the slaves up. Good thing, too, since the new boss don't cotton to the buck and dash trick. Fortunately, I was able to convince her that was Applecore's idea. Poor Applecore. She never saw it coming. All hail the living goddess. By the time I was done reading, I could have set the town on fire with the heat of my seething. Mentally, I was adding to the full cages to my objectives list where it fought with Velvet Remedy for first place. Emotionally, I was seething. I didn't want to be hidden away in a barricaded room anymore.
That's not even a fight for #1 place. You go after the fucking children. Velvet Remedy left of her own accord, and anything that's happened, that's her fault. You go after those fucking kids.
I wanted to go out there and hurt some fucking evil ponies. Sometimes, the wasteland listens to what you want, and gives it to you with all 4 hoofs. I had barely backed away from the terminal, stomping around angrily as I tried to gather focus to move the desk, when my barricade exploded inwards with fury and shrapnel. Blood and agony burst from my body as I was thrown back against the wall. My head slammed into the armory cage, and for a moment, I lost consciousness. The slavers had launched a fucking missile at the door. Trembling with shock and pain, I greedily gulped down another healing potion. Already, my wounds were closing. Calamity held my left foreleg in place, so the gash that nearly severed it could be healed by the magic.
Calamity? What?
The wound was beyond ugly.
I didn't hear that
Even with
right.
the potions, I'd be lame until a real medical pony could treat it. Candy seemed horribly far away, and that was assuming she even had the skills. Fortunately, Calamity calmed me. A missile-launching battle saddle takes some effort to aim correctly, meaning that any pony short of a true expert with the things would be planting herself for an easy launch, and that made her an easy target. Almost too easy for a shot like Calamity. When I could stand again, though still wobbly, I hastily filled Calamity in on what I'd discovered.
Where the fuck did he
Gave me
come
an appraising
from?
look as I danced around, saying anything on velvet that would lay bare my heart. Then, thankfully, trotted back to take a quick peek at the battle saddles. Neither, he declared at a glance, were sufficiently similar enough to his own to raid for spare parts. We didn't dare spend any further time in the armory.
Well, you could sell them to Appaloosa.
Decided to split up. I would look for Velvet Remedy, while he hightailed it to the sheriff's office, where he would scout out the place and hopefully take out any guards. I would meet him there soon to unlock the cages, but until then he could rally the foals. Or, at least, give them the hope in the first friendly company since being captured. Slipping out, we parted ways and slid into the storm. The slavers missed us by seconds. I quickly slid the boxcar door shut behind me. Outside, the bright rectangle of light I had opened shrank and vanished back into the darkness.
I accidentally paused the recording instead of the video. So, normally I would keep going because this is only 29 minutes long, 30 basically. But I spent so much time ranting about slavery. And, well, not about slavery, about these dumbasses. Because imagine how much more money you idiots could have made if you didn't kill 1/3 of your, it feels so dirty to say this, but product. This is coming from a guy who usually does do slavery in Civilization or something. I just downloaded the slavery mod for Civ 5. I am a horrible human being. But, okay, we'll continue this next time. See you guys later. God.